It's the Kyle Hyman Show on Redeemer Radio.
And it really helped foster a good portion of my vocation, I think. It provided the seed bed where I could listen to the Lord and what he was calling me to do in my life.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Flavor of the Week, brought to you by Banditos, fresh, made daily. In Flavor of the Week, Kyle sits down with one of our local priests to sample variations of a favorite food or drink while they discuss the ins and outs of life as a priest.
Welcome to Flavor of the Week. I'm Kyle Hyman, here with one of our priests, Father Spenser St. How are you doing?
Great to be with you, Kyle.
It's so good to see you again. So Flavor of the Week is sponsored by Banditos.
Right.
We always like to plug them, but they're very generous in saying you don't have to go to Banditos for all of your food. We realize different priests have different things. And it's always fun to have something that a priest is excited about.
Right, definitely.
And so when asking where you wanted to go, you said, I was kind of surprised, Jimmy John's.
It is amazing.
And normally we don't plug the place that we're at,
right?
Or anything, but they're providing it for free for us.
Yep.
And this is maybe partially because you have a connection here.
I do. I know the owners. Yeah, they're good parishioners at one of our parishes. So,
but not just that you know them, but are also related to them.
That might be the case. Yeah, definitely. My parents and my sister and brother-in-law own this particular Jimmy John's, so it's a lot of fun.
In Auburn,
right?
You can check it out.
Yep. You know, my love of Jimmy John's was before they even owned the store. I really enjoyed going here for a long time. And when I would go off to school, I would crave Jimmy John's. And like there was Subway in Rome.
In Rome, you wanted Jimmy John's.
Right. I wanted Jimmy John's. And I would crave it coming home. I was met at the airport usually with the Jimmy John's sandwich. So yeah, it's just delicious.
Is this a thing that your family has done, is owning restaurants?
Not usually. This is actually the first one that they've owned.
Okay.
So they're figuring it all out, getting used to it all.
So what was growing up like? And would you say that you had a typical childhood?
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Right.
Like,
I mean, in my own
typical
head, I thought it was normal. So maybe to other people, it didn't seem like normal. But yeah, grew up, mom and dad were both home. Dad would work. Mom stayed home with us. I had one older sister, Olivia, who's 5 years older than me, took really good care of me, taught me a lot of things growing up. So
did you guys fight?
I'm sure we did, just like any other kids, but it wasn't too common for us to be fighting.
Oh, I remember like my sister and I, we fought a lot.
Yeah. No,
we were 2 years apart.
Okay. So maybe that was a bit different.
Yeah.
She was a bit older than me and looked out for me. So that was helpful. But yeah, just growing up, normal, grew up at St. Vincent de Paul in Fort Wayne and just, enjoyed going to church and the mass and everything. Over time, became really more focused on the faith and closer to our Lord through things like serving at mass and going to the chapel on weekdays even, and just praying for 10 minutes or doing a holy hour as a family. Things like that just help make the faith normal. So maybe that's not...
Was that... Yeah, I don't think holy hour as a family is
right.
A normal thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
And how did that look? Like, was it a regular every week at this time you guys did that, or...? Usually
with St. Vincent's growing up, we had holy hours on Wednesday. There was usually until 4. And so my sister and I, we would be picked up by my mom after school, and then we would head over to the chapel, usually for 10 minutes on a normal day, and then on Wednesday we'd stay for the hour.
Huh. How old are you at the time?
At the time, that was middle school.
And what would you do for an hour?
Right. So
as a middle school student?
As a middle school student, I would read spiritual readings or the Bible.
Okay.
Just pray. The rosary was a good prayer that I would always turn to. Sit there, just handing over, either the frustrations of the day or what was going on in life. My relationships with my friends, just hand it over to the Lord and different aspects of that. But it just really taught me how to be quiet, how to be with the Lord, how to pray. And it really helped foster a good portion of my vocation, I think. It provided the seed bed where I could listen to the Lord and what he was calling me to do in my life.
Did you ever feel like it was boring or stupid as a middle school student? You sound right now like right. This was like a deeply enriching thing,
right.
And something that you really dove into and loved.
Yeah,
but was there any resistance? Like, Mom, do we have to do this?
Just like any kid, I'm sure.
My friends are all playing kickball or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, or just like having homework or wanting to go back and play video games or whatever with my friends. There were those moments, I'm sure, and sitting there, even if I was bored, knowing now just the impact that it had on my life, even just being in the presence of our Lord. While I might have been bored at that time for some of them, I'm sure that the Lord was working in my heart in different ways. So even though, I might not have wanted to go, I'm really appreciative of my parents that have taken us there.
You mentioned spiritual reading.
Right.
Do you remember any of the books that you were reading in middle school?
There were some Matthew Kelly books that I was working on. And then I remember reading Scott Hahn's The Lamb's Supper.
Okay.
So that was a good one.
That's a little advanced for middle school.
Yeah. But I think it was really important just to challenge myself too. Because I think looking at a lot of different programs in the world that we have, some of them aren't always challenging to our youth. And I think that a lot of our youth are capable of more than what we give them credit for. So it's really important to know where they're at, but then also to be able to push them and raise them up to a higher level as well.
Were you involved with the Life Team program there?
I was, yeah, all 4 years of high school.
Okay.
I missed one retreat because I had a Boy Scout event that was out of town that I had to go to. But overall, I was very active in the youth group at St. Vincent's, went almost weekly as long as the schedule permitted. And I would go to the Wednesday night ministry hours that we just broke down that weekend's readings. And it was great because Nate Prue had set up that program. It was a great program focusing on what would be happening this Sunday at Mass. But then you had your friends there. It was always fun because Nate was the one running it, and it just broke down everything in a way that was engaging, but also challenging and pushing us further.
It seems like there's a lot of our seminarians and priests that were either students in the Life Team program or volunteer, like core members.
Right.
I think Father Ben Molenkamp was
on
part of the team.
Yeah, he was on the team there. I know Brian Eisenbarger, who's one of our seminarians right now. He was on core team when I was actually in Life Team. And so that's always fun for him. And I just joke around about that.
Is that just that the program was attracting people that were holy or wanted to be holy? Or is there something about it that was fostering vocations to the religious life?
I think there's a bit of both. Those who are seeking the path of holiness always seek to find places that will always promote that and that will encourage that and help nurture and develop it. And the Life Team program had that aspect in there. But then also just being able to be with your friends who are on this path with you. One of the phrases that we would use in school in Rome was in camino insieme, on the way together. By going with your friends, you were able to go on the way together, seeking that holiness, striving after God, who he is in your life, and encountering him, especially through the Eucharist, but also in prayer together with them. But being guided by those who are older in the faith and being able to help nurture that along the way.
Yeah. So, that kind of mentoring / I guess setting an example.
Right.
And I could do that. I could be holy. I could go to church. I could pray. Like the person that's a little bit older than me.
Right. And then we always had the help of one of the priests at St. Vincent's. We were always blessed to have a young priest usually who would oftentimes come to the Life Team events and, they would lead Mass at the retreats and things like that. But they would also come to the weekly meetings, and just to have those examples in our life of, priests who are young, happy, and seeking holiness, that helped foster vocations, I think.
So while you were talking there, we had some sandwich delivery.
That's right.
We also have some chips here too.
Some chips, yeah.
So what sandwich are we starting with?
So I believe we're starting with the number 7.
Okay.
Which is the Italian. It's one of their 2 Italians, but this one has the hot peppers and the salami, I think.
Ooh,
this is
hot peppers. Is that something you're into?
They're not overly hot. So they're good and they give a little kick, but they aren't like, crazy spicy.
Yeah. Did you have much spicy stuff over in Rome? I don't feel like Italian's known for its spicy food.
Not usually. There was a couple Indian stores nearby, Indian restaurants. They would, pack the flavor and the heat. But those were more of a treat to go out to, rather than the normal pasta that we were used to.
All right.
So
jump in here. So this is your favorite. It's like your go-to.
This is it.
So maybe we should have saved that for last.
Maybe. But I'm always open
your
to new
dessert
things.
Sandwich.
Right. The one where you're full and you're like, no, I need to eat it.
Oh, that's true. That's very good.
Yeah, normally I load it up with tomatoes and onions and things like that. So it just adds on to the flavor. But the hot peppers give it a nice little change to it too.
Like you said, not super spicy, but gives it a little flavor. So is this what you had delivered to you at the airport?
This is normally what would come. Yeah. It's so good. The different meats, having the cheese on there, but then the bread too. The bread is soft because it's usually fresh.
I feel like Italian bread, even if it's fresh, maybe I'm thinking of French bread. I don't know.
Well, this is on French.
Harder,
right?
What's the bread that's like you really bite into it. And
right. I think that's more like a French baguette.
Okay.
That you would get.
That's one.
I think it's intended to be like that, but this is the French bread.
Okay.
So it's meant to be the softer, having somewhat of a hard outside, but then that nice soft interior.
Well, I think we're going to have to do a whole thing on Rome.
I like it, yeah.
Because there's a lot to talk about there.
Yep.
But high school, you're doing Life Teen.
Mm-hmm.
What else is keeping you busy? What hobbies?
So I was very involved in the Boy Scouts.
Right. Eagle Scout?
Eagle Scout, yep.
Okay. What was your Eagle Scout project?
I helped do a
Is that what they
donation.
call it?
Yeah, an Eagle Scout project.
Okay.
Mine was the donation center for the St. Vincent Paul Society for like the canned goods and things like that at St. Vincent's. And then we also did a canned food drive among the troop to help kind of restock their shelves a little bit. And so it was like the planning out and then the building of the actual donation center, but then also
like you built a building?
No,
or
it's
put shelves in a room or something?
It's a nice box, but it's on wheels because I noticed that a lot of times the volunteers for St. Vincent de Paul Society were older and they'd have to make trip after trip out to their car taking the canned goods there. And so just realizing that if they had, a nice giant box that was on the wheels, they could wheel it out from inside the church all the way out to their car. So it's only one trip, trying to make their lives a little easier. But then also it's a bit more sturdy than what was previously there and a little more visible as well, trying to help keep the need there in the eyes of the people as they walk out of church. And then on the front, there was also a dry erase board so that they could write whatever they needed on it. That way, if people were like, a can of beans or whatever, well, I'm going to the grocery store right after this so I can pick that up while I'm there. You
should put that on Pinterest. This would blow up.
Right.
Like, everybody would want to make their own little St. Vincent de Paul donation thing for their parish.
And it'd be helpful,
So can you start a fire with just rubbing sticks together?
We had a couple troops that had come to camp. I was on summer camp staff for 2 years. And there were a couple troops that's all they did. They wouldn't allow their kids to use matches. And, I would go around to the different sites and they tried getting me to do it. But I could not for the life of me get it working. I definitely use matches when I start my fire. But usually it's a one match start.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a two. It's definitely an art.
Do you feel like a failure when that happens? Lighting the second match?
Second match, sometimes. It's just like any good craftsman. They usually blame the environment or whatever's going on. So it's always the wet wood. That's what the second match is for.
Yeah.
So
this is like enough food for 20 of us. Thank you.
I'm excited.
So we did the number 7, and then we've got a tuna one.
Tuna coming up, a BLT, and then what's called the gargantuan.
Okay.
And to my understanding, I've never really gotten the gargantuan, so that should be the pinnacle.
What's the little sidekick over here?
That's probably, a pickle.
Oh, a pickle.
Yep.
Okay.
So they sell pickles quartered, which is always a good side.
Okay, so other high school activities.
Really was split between those two.
Okay.
Were my two big things. Because, involved with scouts, that took up a lot of time, just working on merit badges, things like that, our weekly meetings. It took up a lot of time in summer when I was on camp staff. But then also I was involved with what we called the National Honor Society for the Boy Scouts. Mm-hmm. And I took leadership roles in that, where at one point I was representing 55 counties of Indiana and Ohio, 6 councils. It was called the Order of the Arrow, and it was set up for teaching leadership skills, how to run meetings, how to collaborate with people from other areas. So I learned a lot from the Boy Scouts, not just, how to tie knots and things like that. I certainly did those, but then also a lot of leadership skills that were important for me now, reflecting back on where God's called me to, just being able to have opportunities for public speaking to help, get over nerves and issues with that I had growing up.
Wow. And then also too? My goodness.
Just being able to grow in those areas that really helped me become an adult, but also to grow in the ways that the Lord needed me to do that.
So do you get nervous speaking?
I do. Yes.
Still?
I've learned different ways of trying to overcome it, but the nerves are still there, whether, we show them or not, but it's still there.
So for homilies?
Homilies, yep. Not as much anymore. And I think the more that I do it, the more I'll become comfortable with it.
Yeah.
But it's still a little nerve wracking, thinking them up and praying with the material, but then also seeing, how can we be an instrument for the Lord in this?
So you mentioned video games,
right?
Was that a big thing for you?
Yeah. I think like any, kid growing up.
What was the game system?
So I grew up both on the N64, the GameCube, and then at the tail end was the Wii.
Okay.
But mostly the N64 and the GameCube were the go-tos.
What game do you think you'd be better than most?
Yeah, I don't know about better than most.
If you were entered in a competition
Today,
which one would you think this is the one I have the best shot at?
Super Smash Brothers, probably on the GameCube. We actually had some of my friends at school would bring out their game systems, and we
in Rome.
Yeah, we had Super Smash Brother competitions mostly on Thanksgiving because we were kind of allowed to skip class that day because it was our national holiday back home, and we would have Wii competitions of Super Smash Brothers, and they would go all day. Like we would go for the mandatory prayer and mass and things like that. Our big dinner. But if we weren't at a scheduled event, we were playing Super Smash Brothers. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So yeah, if I had to pick one now, it would probably be Super Smash Brothers.
Do you still have it?
I do. Yeah, it's at my parents' house, so I don't play it that much anymore. But every once in a while, we'll dust off the old system.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel like we need to move on to some other flavors and other conversations here, but we'll just wrap this one up, and you'll have to join us next week for Flavor of the Week Part 2 to find out more. Thank you to Father Spenser St. Louis, and thank you to Jimmy John's for providing the food, and Banditos for sponsoring Flavor of the Week. If you'd like to support this show and other great audio programming, go to redeemerradio.com and click donate. And until next time, remember to leave room for the Holy Spirit.